My wife saw her ex. And completely forgot about me. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, I've got a story that's been sitting with me in a really weird way, and I just need to get it off my chest. Maybe I'm overthinking, maybe not, but I need some outside perspective on this one. So sit back, grab a drink, and let's dive into a situation that's had my mind running in circles. My wife, Carla, and I have been together for 4 years and married for 5 months. We have a strong relationship built on love, trust, and mutual respect. At least, that's what I've always believed. Now, don't get me wrong, there are no real trust issues between us. Carla is an incredible woman, and I adore her. But something about this past weekend has just left me feeling uneasy, and I can't shake it. One thing about Carla that's always stood out to me is her ability to hold grudges. And I mean, serious grudges. She still brings up the time a girl stole her seat in 9th grade like it happened yesterday. If you cross her, she never forgets. That's why what happened at the mall completely caught me off guard. So, this past Saturday, Carla and I decided to take a little trip out to a mall about an hour from home. We'd been shopping all day, grabbing some clothes, checking out new tech, just having a fun, casual day. By the time evening rolled around, we decided to stop at the food court for a bite to eat before heading home. That's when everything changed. Mid-conversation, I noticed Carla's eyes lock onto something behind me. In an instant, her entire expression shifted, she lit up like a Christmas tree. Before I could even turn around to see what had captured her attention, she was already up on her feet, grinning from ear to ear. And then I saw him. Chris. Now, Chris isn't just any ex. He's the ex. The one she was with from the time she was 16 until she was 24. 8 years of history. 8 years of fights, breakups, cheating, on both sides, and enough toxicity to fill an entire soap opera. She's talked about him before, but always in a negative light. Their breakup was messy, and from what she's told me, they left things on bad terms. So, you can imagine my shock when she not only greeted him warmly, but practically glowed in his presence. She didn't hesitate to hug him, and this wasn't just a casual, polite hug. No, this was the kind of hug you give someone you've desperately missed. The kind of hug that lingers just a little too long. And me? I was just standing there like an extra in a movie, completely shut out of the moment. They started talking immediately, catching up as if no time had passed. Carla was laughing, smiling, even playfully touching his arm at one point. It was like I had suddenly become invisible. Now, I'm not usually the jealous type. I believe in trust and giving people the benefit of the doubt. But I couldn't ignore how different this was from the Carla I knew, the Carla who held on to grudges like they were heirlooms. I tried to subtly hint that it was time to go by picking up our trays, making it clear I was ready. But neither of them even noticed. So, I took things a step further, I walked off, threw our trash away, and came back. Still talking. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, they wrapped things up, hugged again, yes, again, and he walked away. And just like that, Carla turned to me and said, "Okay, let's stop at Lululemon and Indigo before we head out." Like nothing had happened. No comment about how weird that was, no reflection on seeing him for the first time in years, just back to shopping. Now, I thought maybe she'd bring it up later. Maybe when we got to the car, she'd say, "Wow, that was so crazy running into Chris." Or something. But nope. So, I decided to test the waters. A few minutes into our drive home, I noticed she was glued to her phone, typing away. So, I casually asked, "Who are you texting?" She smiled and said, "The group chat." Now, Carla has a close-knit group of best friends, Cheyenne, Darcy, and Julia. They talk about everything. Curious, I asked, "What's the topic of conversation?" And she just beamed as she said, "I'm telling them how crazy it is that I ran into Chris." I nodded and said, yeah, that was pretty wild. She agreed. Insane. What are the chances? And that was it. Back to texting. No deeper conversation, no acknowledgement of how intense their interaction was. Just, business as usual. That night at home, after she'd spent most of the evening texting her friends, I decided to bring it up. I told her, in a light-hearted way, that I felt like a third wheel during the whole encounter, and it was a bit weird that she didn't introduce me. She just laughed and said, "Oh, he knows who you are." Then she gave me a quick peck on the cheek and went on with her night. And honestly, I didn't push it. Maybe I should have. But I have this bad habit of keeping things light, even when something is really bugging me. I figured I'd let it sit and bring it up more seriously the next day. But now, days have passed, and I still feel off about it. I don't know if I'm overreacting or if my gut is telling me something I should be listening to. I'm not accusing her of anything. I don't think she's cheating, and I don't think she's planning on rekindling anything with Chris. But something about her reaction, how unlike her it was, just doesn't sit right with me. It's like I saw a side of her I didn't even know existed. And the fact that she didn't even think it was worth discussing. That's what's messing with my head the most. So, Internet, I need your advice. Am I overthinking this? Should I just let it go? Or is this worth a more serious conversation? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you've ever been in a situation like this, I'd love to hear your experiences. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories like this, and I'll catch you in the next one. Until then, take care. Relevant comments. Listen, you really need to start communicating your feelings to your wife. I get that's hard for you, but then that's something that you need to work super hard on improving. Without good communication, relationships won't last. You won't vocalize your feelings and the resentment will just build. Tell her that this mall trip left you confused. You thought she didn't like the guy, she only spoke of him in negative light, and then it looks like she met a long-lost best friend and then spent a whole evening talking about it to her mates. Tell her that was confusing and makes it look like such a big deal. Why was it such a big deal? Does she still have some sort of feeling for him? Also, doesn't she think that's kinda rude to not introduce you and bring you into a conversation? That's universally rude, whomever you are meeting. Ask her all this. If someone comes up to you while you're with someone else and you don't introduce them, that's bad social form, period. Doesn't matter if it's your soccer coach and your mom, unless it's a super brief interaction, like a passing hello, that's just a rude way to behave. That rule goes double if it's an ex. It goes from rude to disrespectful. Your wife should have immediately introduced you and included you in the conversation. If she's touching someone, it should have been you. When she didn't introduce you, the subtext is that you aren't worth being introduced to. Even if it had been someone you had met before, the polite thing to do is say, "Oh hey, do you remember OP, my husband?" Or, "Have you met before?" This is like, really basic social etiquette that every adult should know. Thank you all for watching. See you next time.